Hi folks, welcome back to the bench. Another day, another update on the ongoing Fender lawsuit situation. I'm sure you've all been caught up so far with either our videos or every other video on the internet talking about Fender. This one today is very slightly different and not something I expected to be doing. Let me fill you in. So to give you the backstory for this, we're going down under, we're off to Australia. This shop that we're about to talk about, they have a retail premises and they have an online store as well where they sell, and they are called, wait for this, Cool Old Guitars. So it's fairly obvious what they sell. It's fast food, it's old guitars. The clue is in the name, Cool Old Guitars. They specialise in items from back in the day, particularly the 70s and the lawsuit era of guitars. And it's not just Fenders and Gibsons. They'll do other models, the Arias, the Grecos, all of those names from back in the day and onwards, they do. So they are fantastic for used equipment, vintage items. So we're going to have a little look at their website in just a second, but I'm just going to drop a photo on the screen that you can see there, and it looks absolutely wonderful and beautiful. You'll notice the word there that perhaps or perhaps shouldn't be there, because this isn't a Fender. Visibly, it clearly does look very similar to the Fender Stratocaster, but it isn't a Fender. Notice the wording. Now, there are a couple of statements I'm about to read out before we move on to the next part. Given Cool Old Guitars is not an authorised Fender distributor and our client does not have a relationship with and has never authorised or licensed Cool Old Guitars' use of sale of goods under or by reference to Fender's trademarks, one can only conclude that Cool Old Guitars have deliberately and willfully engaged in the above action with a view to leveraging Fender's significant reputation and valuable intellectual property rights. It's one hell of a telling off, that is, isn't it? Furthermore, we note that searches for Fender and Fender product names and trademarks such as Stratocaster and Telecaster in the top search bar on the Cool Old Guitars website reveal not only Fender branded guitars, but a strange mix of results including non-Fender guitars referenced above. Fender is concerned that the manner in which Cool Old Guitars is representing and offering for sale its second-hand stock infringes Fender's trademark rights and is likely to mislead, deceive or otherwise confuse Australian guitarists into thinking they are buying Fender instruments when in fact they are purchasing instruments manufactured by unauthorised third parties. I'm going to give you a little bit of a retail insight. We have been down that road ourselves. When we first started selling online many moons ago, we were governed by what we could and couldn't say. The biggest hiccup we had, and we got caught out with exactly what's happened to Cool Old Guitars. We listed some guitar cases and they were a company called Gator. Industry standard, fantastic. And they were S-type cases. You can imagine what the S stands for. We listed them as Strat cases, which we weren't allowed to do because of the name belonging to Fender. So we're going to show you now what they have had to do on their website, and we're going to zoom in. You'll see the screen recording of me on the site. We're on the Cool Old Guitars website, and as you can see, I have searched for the Stratocaster. Now, if we start looking at it, we've got some lovely Fenders, 2008, 1990. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit further. You will now see that Fernandez, the exact same guitar you saw just a moment ago, but notice what it now says at the bottom. It is an S style. It's no longer mentioning the word Strat. We can move over to the Tokai just next door to it, and exactly the same again. It is the S style. Now, there's nothing uncommon about that from a retail point of view. We were always instructed of what you can and can't say when it comes to online selling. So we're no strangers to that. It might seem a bit absurd to yourselves, but we understand the rules of the game. Now, whether that was an innocent mistake, but we know those guitars is exactly what they are. The vintage Fernandez, it was a Strat, and Tokai, they did Strats. Essentially, that's what they were doing. So try and picture the scene. Cool Old Guitars have gone into business. They're dealing in vintage and unique equipment. They're now obviously being governed by how they have to word their listings. The problem is, from an SEO point of view, if I'm searching for vintage Strats, vintage Stratocasters, Telecasters, Les Pauls, it does make that harder to find. Whereas if that was in the title, it is going to come up on the search. This is what Fender have got their concern about, how it could be misrepresented, that it isn't a vintage Fender Stratocaster. Of course it isn't. We've got eyes. We know it isn't. It says it in the name. But wholly and conclusively, we cannot say that's Strat unless it belongs to the Fender. Now, there have been a couple of YouTubers mention this next topic, and I, again, totally agree with them. How this looks from Cool Old Guitars, they are being penalised for their wording on the listing. Yet I can go onto Facebook, I can go onto eBay, I can go onto Reverb, and I'm coming back to Reverb in just a second. Let's see what happens when I type in Strat or Stratocaster on one of those websites. And so we are on the Reverb site, as you can see, and the homepage looks lovely. I could spend next month's mortgage just on the homepage. So if we search for Stratocaster. So we've searched in the search bar Stratocaster. There's a nice white original 1963 there. That's beautiful if anyone wants to buy me that. Let's just check the filters, because if we start scrolling down, all brands, Squier, Tokai, Fernandez, Greco. Let's say I select Tokai for a moment, see the results. Tokai, Silver Star, 81 vintage, made in Japan, Stratocaster. But that isn't a Fender. We'll do the same with this Fernandez that's next door. Fernandez Stratocaster SSH electric guitar. So why are Reverb getting away with it, might you ask? Well, majority shareholder of Fender is Servco. Co-owner of Reverb is Servco. For every item sold on the Reverb platform, they will be receiving a fee and a commission, whereas they won't be on Cool Old Guitars. You see where they're coming from? Now, obviously, Servco don't own everything. However, how long before Facebook Marketplace are attacked with these sort of letters? Or eBay, how you purchase your instruments? Could they be next with this? Because Cool Old Guitars, they've picked on the little boy once again, Fender. How long before they go after someone a little bit bigger? I'd be interested to know your thoughts. So let us know below. And there we have it, folks. Another Fender video. How many more will there be? Just when you think it's not going to get any worse, it does. From Cool Old Guitars experience, we have been there and we've had a bit of a telling off over the years. And you do have to put these things right. But businesses are businesses. SEO, search optimization and being found. You lovely people are watching us because you found us. How did you find us? Let us know below. We'd also always love to know that. But for them, they're just trying to do their thing. So were they in the wrong? Are Fender right this time? Should they have done that? Or actually, is it more of a case of what suits Fender and stuff everyone else? Let us know below. We're always keen to hear from you. So thank you very much. As always, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Jamie, your local tech shopkeeper and reactionary connoisseur. I'll soon be back with any further updates, but there's one thing for sure. It ain't over yet. There's still plenty more to come. So thank you very much, folks, and have a little think about where you're buying that next guitar from. I'll be keen to know where that is. Bye-bye, folks. Bye-bye.